In this week's podcast, we have Sharmila Mitra. She is a Pilates and Gyrotonic teacher, a teacher trainer, and a studio owner of Core Arts Pilates, as well as a former competitive dance teacher and choreographer. In this podcast, we talk about her power of intention for Dancer's Journal, the dangers of overstretching, and how dance teachers can protect themselves. Are you ready to be bold and be fierce? Please welcome to the podcast and stage, Sharmila. Welcome back, listeners, to the podcast, to the stage. And I am so grateful and kind of in shock that I have this guest on today. It's someone who I've known for a long time. And we know a lot about dance moms, dance competitions, classes, studios, dancers. We know a lot. So I'm excited to share her information and our information today. Her name is Sharmila Mitra, and she's a Pilates and Gyrotonic teacher, a teacher trainer, and studio owner of Core Arts Pilates, which I'm sure all you insane dance moms in Southern California know about. And she's also the author of The Power of Intention for Dancers. And she's all that, which she's grown into, but I also knew her as a competitive dance teacher, a competitive choreographer. And when I had a dance company, she helped me a lot. So please welcome to the podcast, Sharmila Mitra.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, John, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And, we have known each other for a long time, and I'm just so grateful to be here. And I have loved your podcast, and I'm really honored that you asked me to be on. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. You've always been so supportive. Sharmila was there in the beginning when I was just starting to think of the idea of dance moms. And, I tell everyone I just wanted to pay off a credit card, and she gave me these cards. I still have them. And they are, I forget what they say, but they're cards about finance and abundance. So she's always been a big supporter of dance company, dance mom, subconsciously, and now the podcast. So I start with these 4 questions. How are you feeling? Where do you feel it? What color is it? And what is it saying? So I'll do it with you. How are you feeling this lovely rainy day, Sharmila?
You know what? I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling motivated and inspired by Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show.
I know I should have worn my bell bottoms.
Yes. Oh, I couldn't stop obsessing over the jeans that he was wearing. So yeah, love.
But other than that, yeah, it was, all of you people who dance can really learn from, dance is just a form of art, another form of art, but we all are using our voice in dancing. I know it might not feel like that to some of you while you're competing because maybe you're not picking your solos and stuff like that, but you can start developing that where you can watch him and how much he used his voice. I mean, wasn't it powerful?
I mean, I am a Kendrick Lamar stan. So I love him. And I mean, it was so powerful, and it was like art, and there were messages and layers. And I think before the football game was over, because I wasn't there for the football game, I had already rewound and watched it 3 more times because I was so into it, so into his performance and inspired by what he had to say with his voice, so inspired by the dancers, the visuals, the layers, all of it, the message. So
yeah, it was a lot of layers. What did you like about the dancing?
I'm going to tell you a couple things that I've been sharing with my dancers. I loved that the dancers were, they were thicker dancers maybe. And you couldn't tell, right? Because they were wearing crop tops, a shirt, and baggy pants. I loved that. I love that there was not sexual over sexualization of dancers, because I think that's important.
Because that's everywhere, but yes.
Because it's everywhere in everything. And even when SZA came out, she was just completely kind of covered, but she still looked hot and like and beautiful, and you could see her like her curves, and I think I just loved that. I loved that about the dancers so much, and also the male dancers. I
Hmm.
love the male dancers because they were just going off and being, I hate the word full out because we say it all the time, but just full force and full, like, you know, just in their
I felt,
element.
do you
You know?
feel that it was maybe it was a little bit different because they were dancing and telling their own story? They all were, I'm pretty sure, black men, people of color. So maybe that came
Yes.
into play.
I think that that was really powerful to see. There's not a lot of opportunities where you can see like all black, all people of color dancers like that. And so I felt like motivated and inspired by that. I felt like it was powerful and empowering for them. And I didn't see any of that growing up
Mhm.
ever. I never have seen like I never saw Filipinos on stage, like professional stage, or Indians for that matter. I'm half Filipino, half Indian. So for me, I just loved it. I mean, I loved it.
And Sharmila was doing Bollywood back in the day, everyone, like 20 years ago. I'm not kidding. So, but I just want you to, because now that's sort of, I don't like to use that word trendy. I'm not going to even use trendy. It's accepted. Where I remember you were really pushing that. And at times you would come up against, well, that's not competitive enough or things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing Bollywood inspired. I want to be super clear because I am in no way trained in Bollywood dancing
Mhm.
or classical Indian dancing. I just was trying to find something that resonated with me. And I was told that it was like too cultural, too ethnic, and I was just
What does
young
that
at the
really
time.
mean? Too cultural, too ethnic? Does that mean, like Samuel Jackson said, too ghetto?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we are right off the bat going into this. And I love it because I don't ever have anybody that I can talk to about
Mhm.
messages like this. I think you and we have talked about this a lot, that I don't really feel like I have people that I can go to talk about it in the dance world. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to have an honest conversation with someone that's another person of color. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that that's what was like, don't do that because it's not maybe, cool enough or whatever, or it's just a box. And then of course, maybe 2 years later it was on So You Think You Can Dance. And then it was like, cool. But
Well, and
um
don't, I mean, look, it's similar to, I think, all artists and choreographers. Beyonce brought that up when she won her award, that we're kind of forced into our genres
yeah,
of, Sharmila, you're only good at this, or this isn't ready for it. But eventually, don't stop doing it just because it's not cool. And you brought something up too that I think is important for, this pod today, what we're talking about. I know it's going to help dance moms, dance teachers, and dancers. Mostly dancers and um, dance teachers. I want the dance moms to kind of sit in the waiting room a little bit with the door open and just listen.
sure.
Um,
That I love that.
but she talked about having someone that is similar to you. And, we've been talking like this. That's why I wanted to bring her on since 2000. I think it was four when we started teaching at a studio together. Maybe four.
2004.
Yeah,
2000.
four. So it's good to find your community,
Yes.
because the dance competition world back then, it didn't look like a lot of it's changed, but how we grew up, like you said, they weren't doing Bollywood. A lot of younger dancers weren't out. Um, so the community looked it didn't look like us. So those of you that are still in the community that are dancing or that are dance teachers, find that person that you connect with because it's tough. It's tough competing for dancers. I was just at a competition last weekend, and Sharmila, you would have been laughing at me so hard because I could not, the competitiveness backstage between teachers was, let me just say, and I'm going to be honest, it brings it out in me too. Okay.
Oh, sure, sure.
But the fact that that was the baseline was, you need it's hard for teachers. That's why we're going to talk about it is hard for teachers at a studio feeling the pressure to win. And at times it brings out the worst in us. Same thing for dancers. So go and find your Sharmila.
Oh, that's
So you said you're hopeful,
yes.
excited. Where do you feel it in your body?
Um, I feel it in my chest, in my heart. I feel it on the top of my head. Um, I feel it in my forehead.
Mm.
Um, I
So
think,
kind of like upper torso. It's like, that's what it
yeah.
seems like.
And it's like aligning, right? Like aligning the head and the heart, maybe. I don't know. I just came up with that.
What color is it?
Mm, I think it's like a bunch of colors. So like rainbow.
Okay. Rain. I like it.
Yeah. And rainbows appear in my studio all the time.
Inside,
All
or you use it as a logo?
inside. Inside my studio, rainbows will just appear. When I go up the stairs of our building, rainbows appear. And so I just call it it's like a call sign now. So we have like everything rainbows in our studio, which is perfect because, um, bright colors. Our kids love bright colors. And then also because I am a studio for all.
Hmm. And what does that mean for all? First of all, where is your studio located?
Well, my studio is Quartz Pilates in Anaheim Hills. And when I say all, I mean for everybody. We primarily have dancers, um, competition dancers. I have dance teachers, dance studio directors, retired professional dancers. I have women that are just non-dancers. I call them civilians. Um, and then, um, and then I have dancers of all backgrounds, all, dancers of color. I have people in the LGBTQIA community that I'm like, come to me because I want to work with you. You have a home here.
Thank
And
you
so I work.
for, first of all, thank you for doing that, because I know that area is not as accepting of
Yes.
any of the LGBTQ community, especially now. So to have that safe place, I'm sure makes them feel good.
I want people to have a place where they can feel safe. Um, and I think, so much. I can say so much. I can go on and on and on about
Well, we
this.
will. We're going to go
You
on
know?
and on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that's what it's saying, is it has a lot to say. So I'm feeling,
Yes.
how am I feeling right now? Excited and anxious. I feel it in my heart. What color is it? It's like a electric purple.
Ooh, love that.
And I don't know why it's singing Electric Youth by Debbie Gibson.
Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it.
What? What? Were you listening to it this morning?
No, when I was 13 years old, it was our group dance.
Oh, I love it. So there you go. You're giving me,
It's,
that was your group dance. Oh, also
yeah.
everyone, she competed. Who did you compete with? What studio?
Louise's dance studio in Roland Heights.
Ooh, they were good.
Yeah. So I trained under Ray Leeper and Louise Branchard. Yeah, and
You
I grew
never
up in
went
that
to
studio.
Studio C? I thought you did for a
I
little bit.
did. I did go to Studio C for maybe 1.5 years or 2 years, or I did a year with the Casperries, which I mean, that was like an experience.
They were, you all, Studio C.
Gosh, yes.
I mean, I can't even, they were similar to Larkin, but maybe they're up there. I would say at a 2.0, definitely they were. And what did you love about dance and competing?
What did I love about dance and competing? I loved that I didn't have to think about anything else. My parents were divorced and I grew up with my dad. And I think it just allowed me to find myself. I always felt like I felt like I had a place to belong. I felt like it was something that can help me push towards because I wasn't always the most flexible.
Mhm.
And so it was always a challenge for me. So I loved that it was a challenge and I love that I could, push myself a bit. I was more forcing myself into things
Mm.
instead of like maybe allowing and pushing myself because I knew that I was like maybe lacking. And so I wanted to be just as good as everybody else, flexibility wise. And my body just didn't go though in those ways. I didn't understand biomechanics at the time. There's just no education around any of that. Um, so
So
yeah.
when you say that, I mean, because I wanted to talk to you about forcing and the dangers of overstretching, because that definitely is, and not knowing the body mechanics is, why is forcing and overstretching your body, why would that be harmful for a body like yours or a kid like you to force them to be that flexible?
So such a great question. Like muscles can stretch and then they go back or they keep stretching, right? Ligaments and tendons don't always, they stretch and they don't go back. They create micro tears. So you can have bigger tears, ruptures. If you're stretching and forcing the joint into positions, those ligaments and tendons can't keep that joint safe. And so you're on top of like dancing and doing things fast, quick movements, directional changes. It allows for the joint to be unhealthy and unstable. And which is why we see a lot of like sprains and fractures and breaks and all kinds of different things that are happening with common injuries with dancers. So, they used to have a noose around that would hang from the bar, and I'd have to do my splits. I'd have to put my foot through that noose and then like do over splits. And I remember like my legs moving back and forth, and it's just like it was an unstable force. So bad for my joints. And I have such bad joint pain now in my hips and my pelvis. My knees are really creaky and weird, and they feel like really unstable now as a full-fledged adult, middle-aged adult. My ankles are hyper flexible. I broke my foot in 2011 in 3 places. I had to get 8 screws and 2 plates in my ankle. I don't have the option to jump again. Like, that's just
Mhm.
a weird thing. Like, to
Oh,
not be
you
able to
don't.
take
You
class.
said you
No,
don't.
I cannot. I can't. If I wanted to take like an adult ballet class, I could not do Grand Plie.
Do you feel that the overstretching contributed to that?
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that okay. Well, that's even more important to be having this conversation because it didn't affect you when you were 16. It affected you when you were in your 40s, older than that.
Yes. And we were doing crazy things. Like, we were doing, I mean, things are crazy now, but like, we were doing like, you know, a toe touch into straight middle splits, or a scissor and landing in splits, or like a heel stretch and
The scissor landing.
falling
We used to
splits.
call those, this is 18 and over. We used to call those, oh my God, I don't know if I should say it.
I'm
I'm not
scared.
going to say it, but everyone, it's a blank slam.
Oh God, I'm scared.
You're just slamming it. You just grab your leg, boom. All my friends will know what I'm talking about because it was kind of the thing to do. And I think you said something that's, I will even say it. I definitely have learned and we've all grown as teachers. I think they put us into, I was a competitive dancer and then people started hiring me when I was 19 or 20 to teach dance. And so I taught what was taught to
Yes.
me. And it
Yes.
and it
Yes.
wasn't always the best or the healthiest. And so I've had to learn, but I definitely know of things looking back now with stretching that I wouldn't do to myself.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I started teaching at 17. I had no business. First of all, I had no business teaching at 17. Just the frontal lobe of my brain wasn't in. I felt like I was an angry person. I only learned how to teach from the way that my teachers taught. And I don't know if that was the healthiest.
And
You know,
that's it probably wasn't. And we're kind of in that space in every system these days. I think
yes.
we're trying to continue to do what we were taught when it didn't work and when it hurt us. And rather than saying, hey, taking accountability and we
Hmm.
need to move forward, people will defend it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I know that that's hard because people, especially dance teachers, I talked about it with a friend of mine. We think that we're bad because that means we're bad. It's like, no, we're not. We make, just like dancers make mistakes. Listen to this, dancers, teachers make mistakes. And you will
Yeah.
be around teachers from, I mean, what's the longest you've trained a kid?
Um, I've trained a kid actually in Pilates for 10 years.
Yeah. And
10 years.
so a lot and did you feel you grew as a teacher during
Oh,
that 10
gosh.
years?
For sure. For sure. Even as a dance teacher, I, as a young, I'm going to say young dance teacher, I mean, I was always growing. It was only until I worked on myself, though, that I realized, like, oh my gosh, there's another way. I don't have to be angry all the time.
Is that
I
when
don't
you
have,
went to, I think in 2008, you went to uh, college for,
yeah, I went to, I think it was 2005, actually, now. I went and got a master's degree in spiritual psychology. And yeah, it was life changing. Um,
yeah, and so good that as a teacher you had that. Sharmila is the first person I heard that said hold space. And
really, oh my gosh.
yeah, back then. Yeah, I
Back
mean, like 2007, like everyone says it now, like
sure.
hold
Yes,
space.
yes.
But you were the person that like when you were giving privates, I remember, um, or you would talk about holding space for whatever they're going through, which I thought was really great. So, we've already kind of dived in a little bit, and I want to stay back on dancers, but how can dancers protect their body during competition season?
Oh, such a good question. Um, First, it's like get good sleep, sleep well. Um, and you don't have to, this is so controversial. This is going to, I know people are going to be like, she's crazy. You
And then
don't
some
have
people
to.
are going to say they love you. So remember that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You don't have to fly on a plane every single weekend for a competition or convention. I mean, you can rest. You can also just be a child and a kid and like have fun. Um, and also, I'll give you tangible things. It's like uh, first cross train with someone that's knowledgeable. Look up, even with us, like look up our education. Look up
What
what
do you
we're
mean by cross
teaching.
train?
So cross train with Pilates, Gyrotonic. If you like weights, you could do that. But look up who your person is. Look who is training you, and make sure that they have a dance background. Um, Make sure that they're up to date on their continuing education. Make sure that they even have a degree or a certification. Is their certification up to date? So that's the first thing. Second thing is if you are injured and it lasts more than 3 days, go to a PT, a dance specific PT, not just a PT or a chiropractor. I like both. I think one does one and one does another. And I don't like to rip or like bad talk people because they all have their specialties, but go seek therapy from someone. Those are the three big
What
things
kind
actually.
of injury are you talking about? Just like my hip hurts or my knees kind of hurting?
Yeah, so like we get a lot of like my hip flexors are gripping and they will always just fire up whenever I do anything. When walking up the stairs,
A develope or
always developpe,
Yeah.
always in developpe, and they just grip and hurt all the time. Well, first of all, I really believe that I was just saying this yesterday when I was teaching a mat class. If your hip flexors are bothering you, I feel like gyrotonic is the only thing that releases the hip flexors, the only thing
Mhm.
combined with PT or chiropractic care. You have to understand why those hip flexors are gripping so much. What is happening? We also get like a lot of like back issues, back pain, lower back pain, neck. Oh my God, if your
So,
neck is hurting, take a break. Like, take a break.
well,
Wait,
you
what did you
talked
say?
about, people, obviously the dance community knows Pilates, but since Sharmila's always ahead of the game, holding space, Bollywood, now gyrotonic, what is gyrotonic to people that are listening?
Oh gosh, gyrotonic is everyone asks me this all the time. It's like something you should experience. But gyrotonic is a exercise method, conditioning method that was created by a retired dancer slash gymnast. And you're moving. This is going to sound so out there, but you're moving 3-dimensionally. So you're moving like functionally.
How is it different than Pilates?
So Pilates is like everything comes from the core. Everything that you do is initiated by the powerhouse. And then with gyrotonic, you're working your full flexibility, but you're working your strength in that full flexibility. Where in Pilates, it just takes you to a certain level of flexibility, if that makes any sense.
It does. I've taken gyrotonic once, and you know, it is hard to explain. It's different. It's
It's
definitely different,
experiential.
but I can see how a dancer's body can get a lot out of it. Here's my question.
Okay.
What do we dance teachers do when we go to conventions and competitions and those dancers studios that are overstretching, that have been trained incorrectly, are winning, and they want us, and dance moms want their kids to look like that? What do we do as dance teachers?
I think as dance teachers, I get it. I was a dance teacher. So it's like you're a little frustrated because maybe your kid isn't winning. You're feeling like you're following your values, but maybe your values are falling short in the competition world. I think in that moment, you have to really figure out what your intention is. What is your goal for like what you want to achieve for yourself personally? I have never, even when, I mean, I think I did some overstretching, but not too many crazy things like that we see
Mhm.
now, like propping legs on chairs. I just still stayed true to who I was. And I would visit overstretching, but I would try to counterbalance it with other things. I also wasn't knowledgeable at the time, but as a dance teacher, I would really try to evaluate what it is that I want. Do I want to win? Is winning really what I want to do? Or do I want to create, I want to have healthy dancers that can win, but also can like hold the line between winning and also like their artistic expression and creativity? Do I want that? Or do I want to just be like a teacher a sought after teacher? I think you have to define who you are in those moments. And I also think that there are teachers that create that without overstretching. Um,
And
I
that
think
would be, what teachers are those, or do anyone that we would know that um, us teachers could learn from?
you want me to name them.
Well, the teachers that you think that, I mean, you don't have to, but I was just saying that as teachers, like, oh, you just said there's teachers out there that train their dancers great that don't overstretch. So I didn't know if you were talking about Francisco or, other people that we can take from.
Yeah, I mean, I really love Francisco's like philosophies and Francisco Gela. And he's in like he does a lot of master classes.
And if you're comfortable, say the studios and the teachers, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I think I had, I have a lot of people that come to me from different dance studios. So I try to be Switzerland, and sometimes Switzerland is like, because it's safe,
There's
Um,
no such thing as a neutral thought.
yes, this is true. I mean, you can take from John Corella.
Oh, look at her. Just the way to get out of that. You slid right out of that, Sharmila. That was good.
I mean, no, seriously though, let's talk about that. Like just for a quick second, because
Mhm.
you know, I would ask my sister to take my nieces to you because I
Mhm.
know that you and I have had conversations about dance and competition and health, and not just the health, physical health, but like emotional and mental. And I know that you would be able to hold a space if one of my nieces were having, a lot of feelings, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's an,
And
yeah, no, I mean, I thrive on that. And again, I think I've learned a lot in proper ways of stretching, healthy ways of stretching, and even healthy intentions. You keep talking about intentions. We're going to talk about your journal in a bit, but healthy intentions of the why, of why,
yes,
of why am I doing this? I think as teachers, as dancers, as dance moms, if our why is to win, we'll do anything. And that's
yes,
when emotions get hurt, bodies get hurt, lots of values get hurt. So if we really kind of, that's what I try and focus on. Like last week, I had a dancer, and I'm not going to say the competition because I have so many feelings about it, but it was the first time out. And the first time out, Sharmila. What was it like the week before?
I mean, right? It was crazy town.
Tell the like when we were at that studio that had tons of numbers. What was it like the week before? It was like
We were
you
still
barely have
finishing
a
numbers.
costume that can, which is fine. You barely have
Yes,
a costume.
yes, yes.
Did you ever finish
Finishing numbers.
choreography the week prior?
Oh God, yes. I was finishing choreography like the weekend before at an extra rehearsal. You know, I think that's the most that I would ever do. I would never allow for it to be the week of. At least that weekend, so that they had time to process, and we had still one more rehearsal. Right?
So I'm a big believer, the intention when you're first getting out there is get it on stage.
Oh yeah, yes,
Just get it out there. You got a
yes,
costume, you have choreography. It
yes,
it really doesn't matter how you place.
yes, for sure.
And when you focus on that intention, you walk away feeling good. The problem is that then they give awards.
Yes, yes,
And so that
yes,
was something. But when you focus on that's why we're here. So all you dancers, this will probably will come out in the middle of the season, but you know, approach each competition. They're all different. If you learned, maybe got a new solo the week prior,
yeah.
just get it on stage.
Actually, Monday and Tuesday, some of our students are hitting their first competition last week and this week. So every kid that came in that was competing, I just asked them what their intention is for competition. A lot of them have been to my intention workshop, have the intention journal. So I just ask them, what is your intention? And they'll say what they say. I want to hit this. I want to remember to do my best. I want to remember all of my corrections, and then they leave out a lot of different things. They leave out, um, they first sometimes include negative, like they'll say, I just learned my solo, and so my intention is just to remember it. And I'm like, really? You're going to be fine. Like, push yourself. So I just say, let's talk about your personal excellence. What
Mm-hmm.
does your personal excellence feel like? Okay, I'm hitting everything. I'm having good movement quality. I'm remembering my artistic corrections. I'm working on my face, channeling emotions. And then I go into, and what does it feel like? What does that actually feel
Mm.
like? What are the
Is
senses?
that
What is your
your I wrote this down. This was another one which I was so interested. Was that in tapping into the feeling of your intention?
yeah.
I love that. I want to do that right now. How do I do it? Let's
Okay,
do it.
so what is your intention? It could be for anything.
She's going to a competition this weekend. So as a
Okay.
dance teacher, my
Yeah, as a
intention,
dance teacher, what is your intention?
what is my intention? To remain calm is coming up.
Okay, I love that.
To support her. And I feel like to push her because it is her second one. So I don't know the
Beautiful.
proper way of saying that, but
That's great. Like push her, motivate her, inspire her. You could use those words.
yes, motivate her, inspire her. Those are my intentions.
I love that. So then I'm going to have you say it again, but use intention language. So either my intention is to or I intend to.
I intend to inspire.
And then I would get really clear. Like you can say, my soloist at this competition. You don't have to say it, but
Yeah.
like, you know, and then
My
anything else that
intention
you
is to remain calm when my dancer is not hitting her turns before she goes out on stage.
So I would maybe not say the negative.
Oh, okay. Well, this is good though,
Yeah, I would
because
not include the
what
negative.
happens as teachers, at least for me, maybe not you, Sharmila, wink, is when we're at a competition and this dancer isn't hitting it, we're like, oh my God, what's you got like there can be a sense of fear come in.
Oh,
So
for sure.
my
Yeah.
intention is to um so how would I twist that then?
So I would maybe say, like, my intention is to support, motivate, inspire my dancer as she does her solo and works towards her personal excellence. I would hold that
Backstage.
space for her
Backstage.
backstage. Yeah, I would hold that backstage at, I'm just going to make up a dance competition or like, I
We're
don't know.
going to Hollywood Connection. So
Yeah, I
this
would say
will
like at Hollywood Connection. I would get really clear about what
okay.
you want and how
Okay.
you want to be. And I would include no negative. And it has to be 50% believable. So, like, the way that I do this is like my financial goals. My husband and I do intentions all the time. We call it building. And so, if we have a financial goal, I'm always like, is that financial goal 50% believable?
Mhm.
And so part of you has to envision yourself 50% of you has to envision yourself achieving that intention. And
Mm.
so, like, a lot of our students might say, I want to get in the overalls. And I'm like, okay, great. My intention is to get into the overalls with my solo at Hollywood Connection. And
Is the intention of is winning a good intention?
I love this question always because everyone skirts around it, right? So, why isn't it? Especially when we're in the dance world, right? I mean, do we want to create healthy dancers? So we're in a competition. We are in competition. I teach competitive dancers, right? So to say like we certainly want our personal best, we want this, you know, that is wonderful. And there could be more. We could be super clear about what we want. We can say, I think sometimes the easiest thing is that most of our competition dancers want to have that win for themselves. They want to
Hmm.
experience the win.
And
And so,
can the win be making top five when you've never made top five, or is it just winning?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Because from there, if they get into the top five or top 10 at whatever they've said and they achieve it, then they're like, oh my gosh, I believe in intentions. I believe in myself. I have self confidence. I got that. Now, what else could I do? Right.
I love that
So,
we're having this before our competition because it's getting me back on track. And I always tell the dancers that I teach, just be in the mix. That's my intention for you is to, um, you smirked a little bit, but to be in the mix as far as up there with the people who dance good. As
yeah.
unless you're Paula Van Oppen, you are not getting. You're going to be third, second, first, fifth, and being in that mix. If you're having Paula Van Oppen, you're standing next to her. Wow, what an amazing win!
Yeah. I mean, I love all of that. And I also think that I also believe that we could be super clear with our intention. And the more clear you can be, the better. Because if you get to top 10, if that's your intention, and you're like, oh, that was great, but I feel a little short of like, this is not doing it for me, then we
Mhm.
have an answer as to how to pivot, right?
Everyone's different. Everyone's
For
intention.
sure.
Yeah.
For
I think
sure.
what it is that everyone is too literal with winning when they get there. They all want to get first. That's winning to them rather
Yes.
than
Yes.
um, the scale of what winning is. Back to for dancers, how can dancers advocate for their bodies with teachers and their parents?
So I think this is such a big topic. I feel like dancers can first. I feel like we need to have some empathy for our dancers. So the very first thing that we do with our dancers at our studio is we just ask them to be present. So I just say, the very first thing is, how are you feeling today? I don't know if anybody ever asks them how they're feeling.
Not many. I do, but not
And I
many.
love that you do that. And I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe times have changed. I'm not in a dance studio anymore. So, and then they will tell me, oh, I'm a little tired. My back is hurting. My knees are doing something weird. Or they sit on the gyrotonic bench and they didn't recognize that their knee had been hurting. They remember, like, oh my gosh, I'm just bringing them back to the present, right? We're always asking dancers to do it sick, do it with the stomach flu, do it while you're
Mm.
injured, do it not fully, like with no breaks, do it full out. Don't baby. We don't baby our dancers. We don't do
I
it,
heard
you know.
coddle always comes up. Coddle them.
Really? I don't really hear that.
We
I
don't know meaning like don't coddle them, like coddle your and
Oh, sure. Sure.
it's what we're doing here, everyone, is we're it's funny you're saying that because I think I was brought up that way. So I still have a hard time when my body is not feeling good, when I'm emotionally not in a good place of saying, of listening to it and saying, no, I can't do that. And
Yeah,
so it, anyone can, we all can apply this stuff. But the thing that Sharmila is doing and I is that we're doing it now to young children so they'll be healthier when they're older
for
or
sure.
have the tools, have the tools.
Yes, and I think that and I love that you say that because we want to teach this generation to be able to speak up for themselves and get to the point where they can kind of say, this is too much, or I can't do this right now, or my back is hurting, instead of like pushing through. They don't have to push through.
I do feel we live, I mean, I'm saying it, you don't have to do it, but I do feel, especially now with the new administration, with, I mean, literally their tagline is F your feelings. I do feel in the sense of with dance competitions, a lot of them are voted for this man that own the competitions, that go to it. I feel it's harder now to advocate for yourself because they're
For sure.
saying, just get out there and do it. You're a baby.
Yeah. And my totally like, because I was talking to a studio director a few years ago and she was like, we don't baby our dancers. Like, oh, okay. Well, okay. See, and that's the difference, right? That's the
It's
difference.
not babying them, it's being there for them.
For sure. And, because I think that you get to 18 and maybe they don't take class with you anymore. Maybe they become a teacher, right? I still have dancers that come to me 10, 15 years are still in touch after their dance career is over. They're full-fledged moms with kids, moms, dads, um, Broadway choreographers that still come and take and or have lunch or talk or need support. And because I don't really think that at 18 they're done. They're not done with me at 18. They
No,
have me for life.
but man, I sure felt done.
Mm.
I sure
Yeah.
felt, I know girls that I danced with, they sure felt done. We're
Yeah,
going to talk about that as dance teachers, lessons that we've learned and lessons that mistakes that we've made that I've made with dancers, that things like that, like if you leave the studio or when you're
Sure.
18, that can feel hurtful.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
you're dead to me or something. It's so weird.
but the world does, those old school teachers, how we were brought up, definitely brought that up. But before we get into that, where can people get your journal?
So the Power of Intention for Dancers is available on Amazon. It's also available in State.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I knew that I wanted to do something for a really long time. And I was really trying to time the publishing of it with the 19th anniversary of the studio, and I just couldn't get it done. It was just too much. I wanted to take my time and really be intentional with it. And I mean, I really love my journal. I've seen how the Power of Intention has changed my life, the people around me, and my dancers over the years, and my friends that have done that spiritual psychology program with me. We used to go to intention workshops, and I saw how intention work changed their life. And so I just was like, how do we change this or redirect this for dancers? Like, how do we get them to really believe in themselves? How do we get them the self-confidence that they need to accomplish their goals? And I have to say, until you knew me, when we first met, I felt like I wasn't able to accomplish goals. I didn't know how to accomplish goals at all. Um, I mean, I watched the Oprah Winfrey show when she talked about intention, so I kind of dabbled in that. I read The Power of Intention. It wasn't until I went to the University of Santa Monica for spiritual psychology where I was like, I understand this now.
Well,
And
you know
so,
what? I think what Sharmila is not leaving out on purpose, but just slightly is that, you're kind of meshing spirituality as with dance or with
yes.
whatever you want to do in life, which is they're not separate. Everything, this podcast is a reflection of my why, my intention. Your Pilates studio is. So on that note, who are some of the spiritual teachers that have inspired you in your life?
Oh my gosh, so many. I talk about Wayne Dyer, who wrote The Power of Intention. There's my professors, Doctors Ron and Mary Holnick, are have been very influential in my life. Reverend Michael,
Is that Michael? What's his last?
Beckwith.
Yes, Beckwith.
I was supposed to teach him Pilates once. I remember calling because he didn't come to the appointment, and his assistant was like, "He's at the UN." Like, he said, "Oh, he's at the United Nations." Okay, this is a great excuse to not come to your Pilates session. And oh gosh, so many. I was baptized Self-Realization Fellowship with
Is that the one
Autumn
that they
Grace.
have a temple at Lake Shrine?
Yes,
Yeah,
I made
beautiful.
it through the fires.
I know. Thank God. Thank God.
I mean, there's
Meaning, yeah, it was, I was surprised actually.
I know.
I was
There's
deeply
a
surprised.
reel about how their parishioners were fighting off the fires themselves.
I saw that. Yeah, I did. They were former. Well,
Yeah.
see, and this is what I think will help all dancers and dance teachers is to dance competitions can feel and conventions can feel very shallow and cheap and a little surfacey and not so deep. But if when you go to them, you can bring that side of you that is, like Sharmila said, how she got baptized in, or you all, where I come from is the Holy Spirit, the teachings of Jesus. You can bring that into whatever it is you were brought up onto the stage. I mean, I do believe stage is spirit. That's what it
Yes.
means to me. The dancers that you see, I don't know why I keep bringing her up. Maybe because you're in front of me, but like Paula Van Oppen, is
Yes.
they are technically talented, but they're tapping into something that is spiritual when they're dancing. So remember that. Don't leave that out, everyone.
Yeah, she had something different. Very different. Very, very, very different than anybody that we've seen. You know, and I'm going to bring her up. She is a student of mine, Athena.
Okay, yeah. She danced with Paula, I remember.
Yes, Athena Sturridge. She is now Pilates instructor trained by me, and started her own studio that's very successful. And also also worked as a professional dancer before that. She won the Spotlight Awards at the Music Center. I mean, it's just extraordinary human. I have the joy of seeing her every Thursday, and she's just like, we just have so much fun because it's the energy. It's the spiritual part about them. It's the energy of people. And I think we sometimes forget all of that. And so I think like when you're going to convention, you know, our kids are going to Anaheim this weekend. I'm like, go look for Mr. Francisco. I do that intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just do that because it's like I know him. I mean, I know him and I like have so much respect for him and I adore him and I want my students to feel what he teaches,
to feel that collaboration, your community.
Yes,
and
the
there's
energy.
always people there, dancers and dance teachers, who do believe in what you believe. Just stay open. And it's hard to, you know, as we had a mental health coach on last year, and she would say, you know, bless the other competitor, bless the mom, bless the teacher. And if they are disrespectful back to you, bless them and move on. Without them, there wouldn't be a competition. So when you walk into that space being open rather than closed, you're going to find your Sharmilas. So speaking of finding my Sharmila, we're going to talk about shortly, because we've learned a lot of lessons, that's for sure, is how we connected. I think I said that I saw her at I think we both were traveling from West Hollywood too. When we were teaching at the studio. So we would have these long drives and, you know, and we're working and not working on the production number. That's another story. But we're definitely, like I said, she was around that time when that idea of dance moms came up, when that was my first experience being around like some intense dance moms. I mean,
I can't help but laugh. Yes.
So my question with that, I mean, I created a TV show from it, but how can dance teachers handle dance moms who cross boundaries?
I think that the way to handle this is like, know your boundaries, know what your boundaries are, and set up what the expectation is. Like, you know, have a meeting which I think that studios do every August, September, whatever, and just say, like, if you want people that are not allowed in your studio, no parents in the studio, no parents in the studio. This is when I want to be contacted during the week. You know, like set your boundaries up.
I think what's hard about the no studio thing is that we want to be transparent as teachers, of course. But how do we be transparent without being bombarded because somebody is not in the front?
Yeah, it's like, I think you can just say, I don't know if like no parents is the solution, because like, I mean, I'm an aunt to two nieces and I want to see what they're doing.
Okay, so I was thinking of back in the day when, remember, there was no windows, the door was just shut.
Oh yeah. Yes, that was a whole different ballgame. Yes. I actually, as a teacher, like that, because I didn't want someone coming in when I'm doing choreography and like, you know, having all these things. It's like I would open maybe certain classes up, or, you know, choreography is just not open right now. We're not going to have that. But I think also it's like setting up how you would like to be treated right away. You know, I get these emails from parents about whatever, just things in the dance world. Some things I don't even have any business putting my nose into. Like, I don't know why they're emailing me this stuff. I'm like, I'm trying to work on your kid. like in Pilates and Gyrotonic, and you're emailing me all this stuff. And I'm like, so I think it's just like setting up the boundary of how you want to be treated. And so for me, if, is there any type of disrespect? Like if you're disrespecting me, if you're disrespecting my staff, the way that I teach and my education or anything that we're doing in the studio, if I can look at the feedback and take responsibility for something that we're lacking, I will do that. If you are disrespecting me just to be like disrespectful or just like wanting what you want, any hint of it, I let them go. I return their money and let them go, because I'm not playing a game. When I'm bogged down with emails and like things like that and like favoritism between studios, I don't care about that. I gives me less time to focus on what I need to be doing with my students in the studio, right? So same thing with dance studios and dance teachers. It's like the more you're like wade doing these wars online on email and Reddit and crazy things, the less your dance teacher can focus on really getting your kid to be better, your dancer to be their best. And so keep that in mind always, that like you can advocate for your child, but also like do it in a way that is supportive, respectful, like have like there's a way to do it, you know? I also want to have parents feel empowered. Like I want, when I talk to my sister about like where and what my nieces are doing, it's like, you know, we just have conversations and be, I want to know what they're doing. I want to watch what they're doing. I want to see, um, because, you know, I don't have kids. So, but I do want to know what they're doing and how they're improving. But I'm not going to be like crazy and be like, why isn't my kid doing this? Or like,
And that's where, obviously there's a show about it. So you see, especially when I was younger, I'll speak for myself, I didn't know boundaries and they would bulldoze over those boundaries if there were any. And so dance
yes.
teachers, these are some great things to have is have hours. You can,
Yeah.
you can, these are my hours. You can put them at the bottom of your email and I
Oh,
will get
sure.
back to you during this time so they know. Have a work phone. If you do
For
plan
sure.
on texting, then you have a phone again with hours. And
Yes.
also, what we give is so valid. I mean, the emotional space, the
Yes.
the ability of what we're making your child do in dance, the way we get them on stage to become these incredible dancers. Know that your time is valuable, dance teachers. And just like a masseuse or a therapist or someone, when you want my information, there is an hourly fee or there is a consulting fee,
For sure.
and then I really feel the boundary will be that's your boundary. At least for me, that's my boundary. And then I'm more than willing to help you and give you that time. Because if not, I'm going to give that time to something else where I am getting uh, return in it, compensation.
Well, you need to get compensated. I can't even tell you how many things we've done for free as a dance teacher. And, you know, dance teachers are like, and I'm so passionate about this, so my tone might change a bit.
No, I
Like,
love.
you
Oh,
know,
your tone changed about 10 minutes ago.
sorry. Dance teachers are like, they're dance teachers, they're choreographers, they're music editors, they're costume designers, they're psychologists, they're social workers, they're, you know, like, you want them to weigh in on nutrition, you want them to weigh in on everything, you know, and it's like, they it's so important for dance teachers to like know their worth and know
Mhm.
when they need to be getting paid and know when like, okay, your coaching time is up. Like you can say like, I have 10 minutes to talk to you about your child. If it goes beyond 10 minutes, this is going to have to go into a coaching call. These are my rates, you know, just bottom line.
And
um
also too, dance moms that are sitting in the lobby right now with the door open. Um, maybe not. Maybe offer that up already up front.
for sure. Yes.
where already say, hey, I want you to help my daughter. Do you have an hour? What's your hourly rate? This is not dance related. This is not a private physically, or what can I do to, don't take advantage of us. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say is just because we're not
There's
asking to not get paid and you should, because that's how it is in other businesses, be the better person and do it. And you said something that know our worth. I have about two more questions and then these
sure.
ones are good. These are really good ones. Know your worth. Interesting. Because sometimes at studios, studio owners, they don't make, I felt my worth was not, I was just like a dancer, replaceable. So what do we do? Especially when, and this is the question I was going to ask, is what do we do when we, as dance teachers, work for someone that doesn't appreciate our worth and even pins us up together against other dance teachers for the better of the studio for competition?
So this definitely happened to me when I was a young teacher. And you and I have talked about this. And as grateful as I am to have had those experiences, because there's a lot of positives that came from being in a studio like that. In hindsight, I wish I had like a mentor to help me through some of those things. I would probably call the teacher in and the director in because I want to know what is this? What is that energy and what's going on here? And I want to hear because it's like we're being played against each other like all this. And I just didn't have maybe the courage, wherewithal to stand up for myself. And so I would just let's just talk it out like decent human beings, right? And then if I sense that it's happening, it's like a pattern and it's making me miserable, I would leave. And I did leave many times and came back.
Yeah.
And because the energy is too toxic,
And that's
you're
the pressure, dance moms, that some of us dance teachers were under, is that know that just like your daughter or son was being pinned up against another dancer in the studio, that was done to dance teachers and dance choreographers and was very stressful. And, you know, it was funny. I mean, the people I teach, they know that I always let, maybe not the kids as much, but I'll let the moms know that, we get nervous too. This is
sure.
choreography is coming from us and we put
Yes.
our heart and soul into these kids that dance. And so we do get nervous too as well.
Yeah. And I think that like, I remember, you know, people and their comments, like directors and, owners and studio owners. And it's like their comments about like the work that we do. And we're so vulnerable, right? It's like, oh, that's too cultural. That's stupid choreography. Like, there's no need for any of that disrespect. Cause, my stupid choreography won you your first like overall.
Snap. Love
Hmm.
that. There you go. That's that Sharmila I met in
That's the
2004.
competitive side. But, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like there's that. And those things, I don't want any of those things to have roots and anchors into me, right? They certainly do because I remember it, right? But I would like go to where you're valued. For me, I was like, I'm done with choreography. I'm done. It doesn't make me feel inspired. I had a lot of stress. It was
I
like,
know you were so good at it though. I brought her in
I
to do
don't
Corella Dance Company
I don't remember
and she knew
feeling.
how to whip out a number to Dindada, Tied Up, all of them, you know.
Well, that's so kind of you to say. I never really felt that, but yeah,
And
I
good
mean,
at cleaning. You're so good at cleaning. I still wish you could clean because I would have you clean numbers, but that's okay.
yeah.
So the other question, the last question is, I said we put our heart and soul. We are social workers, nutritionists, costumers. We love these kids. We do. We want them to flourish in whatever that is. We want them to win in whatever that is. How do we handle when a student that we put our heart and soul into leaves? and goes to another studio?
Oh gosh, right. Some of the most painful things. I have such a different philosophy now as a studio owner in Pilates and Gyrotonic. I just say bless them and release them.
Bless them and
Bless
release.
them and release them.
But what do
You
we do
know,
with our feelings of
yes.
loss?
Well, I hope that when you are able to process your feelings with someone that is safe, whether it's a friend, another dance studio or dance teacher, or your therapist, like it's important to go to therapy, especially in our community, because our community, it's like other communities, there's like just layers of things, but go process it with someone. And it's only human to feel sad and to feel maybe depressed about that because you've poured all this energy into it. But know that wherever they go, right? If they go on to be a lawyer, a doctor, a mom,
But what about when you see them
dad,
backstage, though?
be cool. Be cool. It's okay to be competitive, but also be cool. Go up and give them a hug, support them. You know,
I
don't,
feel I was taught that we talked about this, that when someone leaves, it's like you don't
they're
talk
dead to
about
you.
them in the studio.
Yeah.
And I know that can feel hurtful to the dancers too. And so, I mean, this is 18 and over, but I know some girls that I dance with, that still are processing what they've
Yeah.
gone through in competitive dance. That there's a lot of other things that go into it. And unfortunately, you're not an adult yet. So we can't approach the situation how we would a friend that we're going to
Sure.
possibly lose. But that I know for me, it was just, and they're not making the decision sometimes. You know that it's their
Sure. It's the
parents
dance
that are
director.
having
Oh,
them go
sure.
to
Yes.
other studios.
And I think the thing is like, as a dance studio teacher and director, it's like, don't let your hurt inner child take out, project, or take out their hurt feelings on someone that's left. Like,
Don't let your
bless
hurt
and
little
release.
child hurt a child.
Hurt a child. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can just bless and release. And that's what we do. Like, bless and release.
And so I feel that, and feel that I've had um definitely, would do things differently when certain kids left, because I just was hurt, and
Sure.
I and so yeah, so
And
I
I would
was
too. I would
what?
I would definitely do the same thing. I would be different, you know. Um I
Let's have
so
a
acknowledge,
reunion. We're gonna have a reunion now for all the dancers that left us.
it's like making amends, right?
Making amends, and we're gonna finish on that you know this dance competition world, this world in general, there can be hurt feelings, and the business gets in the way, dance moms, dancers, our own stuff. And Sharmila and I, we didn't talk for a few years.
12
And
years.
12 years, everyone, 12 years.
12
And
years.
you know just forgiveness, and picking up the phone, and growing, and knowing that there's other things that come into play, and moving on. And I think it's super important, if I can say that to every, dance teachers, dancers, and moms. There's going to be hurt feelings along the way, and forgiveness will get you through it. And I'm so grateful that I'm now on the podcast with Sharmila.
Yeah, I mean, you were the one that called me. I mean, you're the one that had the courage to do that, and you apologized, and I was still kind of like, I don't know, and
Mm-hmm.
I just really appreciate that you did that you had done the work, because then it allowed me to step in and step forward into that, like, that feeling of forgiveness. And I apologize to you. And then we just, gosh, since have had such a wonderful friendship. um And I don't know if we would have had we still been friends like for those 12 years, because we grew so much, right, in those 12 years. And
And go ahead, sorry.
you know, I would do it differently. I would do it differently. And I also just appreciate just how connected and in tune and like intuitive our conversations are, and how healing is, and how we can be adults and work through things, you know.
That's why I brought you on. And one thing that I love that I think we kind of said was that when we have a problem or a hurt, we'll bring it up. So you could do that with your dance teacher if it's safe. And if it's not safe, everyone go find a safe dance teacher. You can do it with your, even between, parent dance moms, dance dads, and the teacher. If it's not, maybe you shouldn't work together. But if there's hurt, to work through it, forgiveness, and it'll just keep going. All right. So now we have some little fun, fast, multiple choice questions that I added on. They're just like off your instinct. Go. Okay. Favorite dancer?
Athena Starich.
Favorite choreographer?
Dwight Roden.
Favorite Broadway show?
Oh gosh, Patrick's Rocky. I loved that one.
Oh wow, I didn't even know he did that.
He was the fight coordinator. I don't know. I'm sure he had an official title. I don't remember. Oh, wow. It was so good. It was so good.
Favorite style of dance?
Contemporary.
Favorite dance competition? One of.
I grew up in the showbiz days.
Yes, showbiz. What was his name? The owner?
Oh gosh, David. Is that him?
With the white hair?
I don't remember now. David.
I was just seeing him, and I just recently watched it at a friend's house.
Oh gosh, I can't remember. Something David. David something.
What's one of the boldest things you've done?
I've written a book about intention for dancers.
The power of intention of dancers, everyone. It's a journal.
Yes. It's a journal. Yes. Power of intention for dancers. What's boldest thing? I think that's that. I don't know. These are hard.
That's extremely bold. Putting it out there? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I'm still very shy about it all.
So where can people get in contact with you?
You can find me at coreartscenter.com. That's the name of my, that's our website. And you can find the Power of Intention for Dancers on Amazon. And you can email us there if you'd like to take with us in studio or online. We have online programs as well. And only if the energy is right. And, those are the people we want. Like, if you want to work for us as an instructor, or if you want to be a student of ours, only if it resonates and if it aligns with you, because we're not trends or fads. We're classical Pilates and Gyrotonic and dance medicine. So for dancers, yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing the dance medicine on the podcast, Sharmila.
Oh gosh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for listening and watching Dance Dad with John Corella. Our show comes out every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can search for Dance Dad with John Corella on all podcast platforms. And make sure to follow and download so you don't miss an episode. You can subscribe to Dance Dad with John Corella YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. You can also sign up to become a member on Patreon at The Only Dance Dad with John Corella to watch the on-camera footage of this podcast and see us and be a part of this bold and fierce community. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, Remember to be bold and be fierce.